If you know what's good for you, you'll follow us on Rumble. Please give this video a like and subscribe!
Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian, I'm here with Alison, and this is Maintaining Frame. Feminists call it precarious manhood because they won't name what it is. Where we're going to be looking at this Medium article, or blog, I guess, and it's sort of referencing a study. Is that right? Is it referencing the study, The Masculinity Threat in Heterosexual Men, a comprehensive meta-analysis of...
This is the meta-analysis. There was an original study that they did, but yes, it is referencing that because they want to point the finger at precarious manhood, which is why male influencers are getting men to shell out whole bunches of money for some questionable stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's they don't want to actually recognize what it really is that's going on. So they've just, this individual, Katie, oh my God, Jagielnicka, is essentially asserting that the reason why men are influenced by masculinity influencers is because of precarious manhood. So just generic, ambivalent, ambiguous masculinity threat. So men are just, they want to maintain status, right? They want to maintain a status, but for no apparent reason. So men just want to be seen as masculine. They want to have status. They want to, be able to purchase the Bugatti. They want to have, sexy cheekbones, whatever else, whatever clavicular did. And they're doing it all because they want to rank on the masculine scoreboard higher than other men for no reason. Then their rank, no reason, none, Brian.
No,
I think
there's
you were
men never do anything for any reason. As a man, I can confirm there's no reason why men would try to max out like their attractiveness. They're doing it for themselves, guys. They're doing
not even for themselves.
No.
They're doing it for their position on the masculine scoreboard in the sky. Right? So it's all about status threat and precarious manhood. We're not going to look at what's actually happening, because if we were, we might have to do the thing that nobody can do except us, apparently Pearl and Paul Elam. Like, that's it. Which is to potentially rub out on that taboo of taboos, which is blaming women for something. Anything. All right. Yeah. So before we get into it, I might as well do the things. Hey, I cued myself this time.
You did.
I'm getting better. I'm learning. All right. So if you'd like to support, I'm
evolving like a Pokemon. Yeah.
Okay. So if you would like to send us a message at any point throughout the show, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. It's the very best way for you to send your message because it does not get enhanced by YouTube's comment enhancement system, and it's the very best way for us to receive the funds because we get the full benefit of them. So once again, that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And I put on an extra day on the fundraiser because, well, for a number of reasons. One, I had to fix the PayPal link in the new fundraiser. So if you guys were attempting to support, but you usually support through PayPal, that's fixed. So go to feedthebadger.com/support to help us out for the month. We have $470 left, and I sort of have to flog it because, oh goodness, this is really crazy. I don't know why it happened, but anyway, last month somebody pledged $600 through Patreon. And then they said that they had never pledged it, or that they had never signed on to it. I don't know how you accidentally do something like that. And Patreon took out the 600 that we got last month. And I was like, I remember last month I said, okay, well, I'll just apply it to the fundraiser. So now we're down $600 from last month, and we didn't get our $600 this month or plus from Patreon. So I'm like, oh, well, that's great. I took away those ranks, those support options on Patreon, so that doesn't happen again. I don't know, how do you do something like that? Like, how do you support and then be like, oh my god, I never intended to subscribe. Who are these people? Like, I don't know. But anyway, I really need to finish this one off. So if you can help out, I think if all of you put in $25, we'd be done in like 10 minutes. So feedthebadger.com/support to help out for the month. And badgernation.online if you want to see more of us. Okay.
All right.
Shall we begin?
Let's get into the Medium article. So, okay, this is by Kate. I'm just gonna say Kate, and it is entitled. It's from the Newsphere. I don't know what that is. Oh, is that like news? Men are in an epidemic, just not the one you think. The not-so-hidden engine behind male self-optimization culture, by Katie. All right. Stephen Bartlett, host of the Diary of a CEO podcast and wellness guru, recently confessed to a guest that 2 glasses of wine had once ruined 3 days of his life. He slept poorly, ate rubbish, skipped the gym, and even podcasted worse. His word, not mine. While his Whoop, a wearable health tracking device, informed him that his dopamine and cortisol levels were, quote, all messed up, end quote. This relentless pursuit of a hyper-optimized, almost machine-like self has become quite the fad online lately, reaching far beyond Bartlett's own corner of the web and its 30-something million followers. Did you want to say anything before I keep going? So, I'm going to keep going, all right?
I was struggling with the mute button.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Go ahead.
My problem isn't carbs or wine, it's the mute button. But you've always had these people who have been like, the body is a temple.
High achievers?
Yeah, well, not just high achievers, but like specifically that the body is a temple. Like this individual's just discovered that particular subculture that obsesses over everything they put in their stomach and do and everything. Like that's been in existence. I mean, there were fitness freaks in like the 70s. Right? I don't recall the 70s very well because I was quite young, but I'm pretty sure there were.
Don't look at me. Yeah. I was quite young too. So I was like 5 years old.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, in 1979, I was 5. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I was born in 73. I was like, yeah. But look, anyway.
I was.
Yeah, go ahead.
But what I'm getting at is that, like, this is not new. It's always been a thing. Like, there's always been people who have been ascetics about their bodies and things that they consume. There's always been people who've disavowed indulgences. Like, even before the 70s, there would be hermits living in a hole eating juniper berries. Like, this is not new. So I'm just my overall point is okay, she just discovered this. She's just discovered that there are human beings who are not like her and who pursue things that she does not understand. And now she has to make a grand narrative of why they exist. Also, I'd like to point out that there's a very dysfunctional and almost exclusively, well, maybe not now, female branch of this. It's called anorexia and other eating disorders. Although I'll be honest that anorexics tend to have actual depression, and they're better treated with treatments for depression. But regardless, maybe not the general population, because they're dealing with a mental health issue, but there are women who are absolutely obsessed by what they eat. She not noticed that, right? But I'm guessing we're not going to discuss that this is not just a male phenomenon. There is a female half to this phenomenon. But of course, that isn't fragile femininity. It's only fragile masculinity when men hold themselves to a standard.
Is it? Are we talking fragile masculinity or precarious masculinity? Are these
precarious masculinity?
Okay.
Precarious masculinity, which means that basically manhood is held to a set of expectations that aren't just personal indulgence and quote unquote empowerment. So because men can fail at the expectations that they're held to, manhood is framed as precarious. And if I say it that way, I think most guys are like, but that's the way that it should be, right? I mean, if you're an adult, if you're a male adult, if you're a female adult, you should be held to standards. It's more unfortunate that we don't do the same to women.
Yes.
There should be some precarious womanhood, like some ways that you could lose that, but there aren't. So anyway, that's what it means. It means that men are held to a standard.
Yeah.
Which is really ironic because it's not like feminism stops that. But because men can not live up to the standard they're held to, their manhood is regarded as precarious, which means that they are responsible for all the bad things that happen to them. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but it works. You just have to follow the logic. Well, no, there is no logic. You have to follow the assertions and also the biases and stereotypes. And then you'll get it. Then you'll understand.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I just want to say the Diary of a CEO guy, what she's using as her example to make like a broader claim about men in the abstract, specifically is like a wellness guy. So he's going to talk about things from that perspective. He's not just some guy who wants to be good, like wants to be in good shape or whatever, which I think most people would like to be. He specifically, his job, part of it is wellness, which includes health. I mean, is probably the majority of it. I know that wellness is one of these, feminine terms that people talk about, where it's like about manifesting and crying into a therapeutic pillow or something. But in this guy's case, it's like, what do you put in your body? What do you do at the gym? It's like the same thing as like the Chris Williamsons of the world. He's basically on par with him in terms of like what kind of person he is. And I'm only saying that because she's about to make a claim. I'm guessing. I haven't read this yet, but she's about to make a claim about all men by cherry picking a couple of men and then trying to connect those men with threads because they have this one thing in common. They must have this other stuff in common. Like I can already see the word clavicular in the next paragraph. So I already know that she's going to say clavicular is the same thing as Diary of a CEO podcaster Stephen Bartlett, even though those guys probably don't agree on much of anything, including, by the way, physical health. But that doesn't matter because she has an agenda, so let's find out what that is. And also, it's funny calling it machine-like. This is another, like, already planting the seeds of straw man, Pretty sure that Bartlett is not calling for that in any way, but among the other popular influencers in this space, there's also Braden Peters, better known as Clavicular, the young man who claims to have used bone smashing, hitting one's face with a hammer, to looks max, improve his appearance, and has experimented with crystal meth to stay thin. Crystal meth maxing? Yes, I'm aware of that. Then there's Brian Johnson, the former tech entrepreneur who swaps blood with his teenage son in a bid to reverse his biological age. and the guy with the 18-step morning routine that begins at 4 a.m., and the one who follows an ancestral diet of raw organs and testicles, and countless others willing to go to extraordinary lengths to achieve what they consider physical and mental perfection. So I kind of want to
I'm
know
thinking
who this guy is. Hold on a second.
with the testicular guy.
I think that's Liver King. I think that's the Liver King. Yeah, okay. So, and the other guy is Ashton Hall. Here's Ashton Hall. This is the guy she's talking about. The guy who has this like morning routine that he put online. Everyone made fun of this stuff though when he was doing it. Like, let's look at who she's bringing up here for her case. Okay. So first is Stephen Bartlett. So you start off with, and this is what they always do. I don't know if you noticed this with their examples. They're trying to make like a broad claim. They start with like an example that's very like moderate, and then they step it up to something a little bit more extreme, and then another extreme, and then they connect it all together. Say, look, these are all the same. So basically, you know, that guy Hall that I just showed you footage of, he eats bull testicles too. Because they're all he's also smashing his face with a hammer. He's also microdosing crystal meth. He also gets blood transfusions from his son. This is how she's doing this. This setup is it's annoying because she's lying about these people. Now, I think that the average person finds Clavicular's approach strange. Like, and when I say the average person, I mean men. They find the idea of eating bull testicles strange. That's why Liver King is like memed on. They didn't like the Ashton Hall video. It got clowned everywhere. People were doing parodies of it, especially men, right? And they probably find the idea of getting blood from your son, aka Brian Johnson, to be absolutely demonic and monstrous. And that's probably not controversial at all to say. But the author of this article wants you to know that not only is that all normal for men, but it's actually like the same thing. Like, you know, what one guy doesn't do, he might as well do because here's another guy who's sort of like him. And I've just decided in my own headcanon that they're basically the same thing. So, anyway. Alison, did you want to say anything to any of that? Or do you want me to just keep going?
I agree. Like she is going to find the weirdest specimens and then say, look, this is all men or something.
Yeah.
Or this relates to the topic. No, you just selected a bunch of very strange specimens, and you have not even made an attempt to say that this is something, the attitudes or the behaviors that these individuals engage in any way relate to the attitudes and behaviors of all men. Okay, that's ridiculous. I don't think that there are many men out there who are deliberately crystal meth maxing.
No.
Or eating testicles or stealing teenage boys' blood. I think that this is like these are outliers.
These are
also,
very
I would like to
internet
point out,
things.
Yeah, well, how much of this is attention on the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How much of this is eating Tide pods?
Like, why wouldn't, if you thought you can get 1 million views by saying you're eating bull testicles, why wouldn't you say you're eating bull testicles? If that's what you want to do. I'm not saying he's not actually doing it, but I haven't seen him actually do it. You know?
Also, that is a food item, prairie oysters, right?
Yeah.
This is something that people eat without being masculinity influencers. So, there's that. Also, I'd like to point out that the progressives, like Kellogg, you know, from cornflakes.
Yeah.
He did all kinds of crazy crap like this in order to improve his health. This is not new. That's from like the 1800s or the 1900s. This stuff is not new. Like it's like this woman is like she walks in and she says, "Wow, I never noticed these people existed, therefore I've discovered them." Nope.
Yes.
People like this have always existed, and they are not just men. I'm sure we could find some crazy ass women doing crazy ass
Well,
things. Actually,
they're just putting on regular old face moisturizer made from the baby foreskins. That's not weird at all.
or they're injecting their lips with
Yeah, they're
nerve
getting
toxin.
BBLs and hair
Yeah,
weaves. I
the
mean, there's a number of things that they
butt
do.
lifts. Those things are actually really dangerous. The
Brazilian butt lifts.
BBLs.
Yeah, I've heard
Like, are
about
we gonna like?
them going
Okay,
wrong.
are we really going to do a face-off between men's weird vanity behaviors and women's weird vanity behaviors? Because I don't feel that this is a fair comparison right here. You went and
No.
you found the craziest male influencers doing the craziest things, and then you did not compare them to the craziest women doing the craziest things to get attention, to pursue vanity. Because let me tell you, there are a lot of extreme female behaviors when it comes to pursuing vanity, right? And we had a couple there injecting Botox into your lips, injecting fat into your butt, which incidentally, because you have a whole bunch of big veins there, often they accidentally just inject it right into your bloodstream and you die. So I don't know, lady. Maybe we should make this comparison fair. Let's bring in the female specimens, the female freak show.
Yeah.
Like you see how it's completely admitted? Like, no, we don't need
Mm-hmm.
to look at the female half. We don't need to look at the female vanity industry. That's not precarious femininity. No. That's the beauty industry forcing itself on women.
Yeah, it's patriarchy.
Women are
It's men.
victims of that. It's
They are.
patriarchy. It's men. Even though men don't really want that. I'm pretty sure that a man would be fine if you didn't have a body count in the dozens and just look normal and not obese. That's it.
Yep.
Right? I mean, as long as he's also an average dude, like, or that's not what they're complaining about. So I don't know. And then the other thing is that women will say that men make us do it, but we don't do it for men. Which is it, sister? Okay.
All right.
Shall we read a bit more?
So yeah, I'm gonna read some more. So yeah, the 18-step morning routine, that was the black guy. Yeah, I already read that part. But whether it's looks maxing, biohacking, longevity, ancestral living, or any other flavor of self-optimization, it's impossible not to notice that most of it's created by and conspicuously marketed to men and boys. Now, well, I don't know why is this alarming? Like, why does that? It's interesting that this bothers you so much when women have been doing this forever. It only bothers me because I don't think men need to do this stuff. And I've seen the kind of stuff that young guys, especially, are doing to themselves because they're trying to look smacks or be attractive to women. I think most of it is because they want to be attractive to women. And they're like getting on all kinds of drugs, like PEDs, like steroids, gear, that kind of thing, performance enhancers, and they're doing it very young. I've seen some pretty like brutal pictures of like, 16, 17, 18-year-old boys, and they're like totally shredded, but you can tell it's because they're doing a bunch of PEDs and they have like acne all over their back and chest because that's like a side effect, and they're gonna have heart problems and stuff. And I don't like that because but not because I think that it's fragile masculinity or anything like that. I think that these guys are trying to adapt to the dating market. Basically, they're trying to compete. They want to find somebody, and maybe they bought into some of the stuff that women have said online about the six pack, and so they're like, well, I'm gonna get that. And they're like really young. I mean, what do they know? Anyway, I got a super chow for $25 from a anonymous account. Thank you, whoever that was. So, I think that men should be doing stuff for themselves. Like, it's good to just be healthy for its own sake, not because it might attract a woman or anything like that. Just take care of yourself. That's all I would say about that. But for men who are just taking care of themselves, this woman wants to pathologize them too. And she doesn't recognize that women's existing is actually a major influence on men's behavior. I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but it is that way, you know? So, um, anyway, let me see if I
Okay,
got another.
so
Yeah.
let me get in here for a sec. One, no, she doesn't acknowledge at all the influence of women's behavior on men. Why is it that men are suddenly engaging in these extreme behaviors? Well, because something has changed. But the other thing I wanted to point out is that I don't think you'll get away from men wanting to be attractive to women as long as we are a I'm going to say bisexual species, but that does not mean bisexuality is in the orientation. It means that you need two sexes to reproduce.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's just a given that both sexes will want to be attractive to the other. Although I guess in this era, women have decided that being attractive to men outside of the most gross and I mean by gross is like coarse and unrefined or unsubtle ways.
Yeah, sure. I
Yeah,
get
well,
it.
I mean, like my continuous complaint about Hannah Cox is that
Crass.
she injects she injects Botox in her lips, but cannot ever extend herself to understand the male point of view. I don't want to say ever because maybe she did at one point, but it's like you can't. So you are going to manipulate men through your sexual attractiveness, but you won't make the effort to understand them. You see what I'm saying? Right? That's what I mean by crass and coarse, right? And less subtle or
Yeah.
less evolved, shall we say? And so women will do that, but you are not going to get away from a situation where men and women don't want to be attractive to the opposite sex. And I think that to expect men to attain a level of Buddhahood where they're like, yeah, I don't care about being attractive to women is a bit much. I think probably more attainable, or it's putting a lot on men, especially since if men could easily attain that, we wouldn't exist. Like that's literally the evolutionary kill switch, right? It's like you hit that and the human race extinguishes like a freaking, I don't know, a fart or a candle in the wind. So men are not supposed to be able to easily achieve the ability to just completely ignore being attractive to women. Because that means as collectively, if you had evolved that trait, most likely it would have been an extinction level event. So I think that's sort of unfair to expect men to attain that level. However, at the same time, I do think it's reasonable for men to want to invest in a system that doesn't actively undermine their mate value at every potential opportunity. See what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like why? And I was actually working on this, like, because I'm doing research into how to describe. I'm doing research into the psychology of men and masculinities field, and don't be deceived by the name, guys. It is not anything to do with psychology, anything to do with men, or anything to do with masculinity. It is basically the feminist scale of Snidely whiplash. So
Hmm.
the feminists have constructed a scale based on their own ideology that what men are. And then they score men, of course, according to how men appear to them in feminist conjecture. And that is essentially the entire field in a nutshell. It's how much you resemble Snidely Whiplash. Actually, Snidely Whiplash he's a little bit too of a, he's too sympathetic. Like if you combine Hitler, Satan, and I don't know, the guy from Lolita into one man. That is the feminist scale of manhood, and they will they'll apply it to men, and they'll say, "Well, you totally reject this, men, but because you haven't entirely reject this, and like to the point where you've just annihilated the entire study itself." We are going to say that you still score on it. So just scoring on this stupid scale means that you're bad. That's how stupid this entire freaking. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going a bit at a tangent, but my overall point is these are the people who have defined manhood for the last 3 generations.
Yeah.
They've defined it in a way that is pathological and psychotic, and only in terms of its negative qualities. And they've done a lot of fraud and malice in order to do so. And they are highly influential, let me tell you. The World Bank bases its funding choices on their, a derivative of their scale. It's called the Conformity of Masculine Norms Index, or alternatively, all of the masculine gender stress indices, right? And they have defined, and they've not just gotten the World Bank, right? They also have the American Psychology Association. They have
The
influence there.
APA.
They were the ones who were consulted for how to treat men and boys when they have mental health issues. People who are so convinced that men are evil, they actually just they have a freaking scale of how evil are you. And when men say, actually, I don't really like any of these things on your scale, they reject the scale. They don't say, well, actually, this scale doesn't seem to be describing men. They just do a whole bunch of chicanery to pretend like it is. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so these individuals, they're like the freaking hidden Death Star of Darth Femicus, right? And they're constantly destroying, influencing things to destroy men's own perception of their self-worth and everybody else's perception of the worth of masculinity in men. So we're now in a society that's actively undermining men's worth as mate value. And before anybody's like, oh, like the feminists are like, oh, you just want to go back to the period of time when women were forced to choose men because they had to they had to survive economically. No. First of all, there was not, that was an artificial period of time where the vast, like even a majority of women could just stay at home, right? And that was a construct of advertising, the house whore, who doesn't actually contribute financially or in any, like, because she has everything is automated. She doesn't really contribute in terms of the domestic tasks either. She's just sitting there being paid for. And then feminists looked at that and said, you're enslaving us by paying for our leisure and lifestyle. Right? And we were forced to because we couldn't take care of ourselves. That's bullshit. Women have taken care of the home forever. They've always contributed financially. There was just one period in time in history where it was prosperous enough that women didn't have to, and they stopped, and then never forgave men over it. Although I will admit that losing their minds over losing their jobs makes them somewhat sympathetic to me. But regardless, they'll look back at that and say, well, you just want to put women back in the cage, back dependent on you, back dependent on your money. When that was just one period, like there's just like 20 years where that could possibly have happened for the human race. Right? Just 20 years. And men will never live that down. You will never live that you created so much prosperity that women can have absolute leisure. You will never live that down, guys. You enslaved them. They'll never forgive you for it. Anyway, they'll point to that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that men have a right to not have to invest in a society that's actively undermining them as partners, as sexual partners for women and reproductive partners and relationship partners. You don't, like, why would men invest in a society that actively undermines them? Right? I mean, could we, like, even a neutral society would be better. And I think what we were operating off before all of this was simply a society that made men's love legible to women, so that women understood where they were coming from and could understand how men express love and connection and loyalty and affection and appreciate it. So they were investing in a society that made them legible to women, not forced women to love them, just made them legible. And now we're in a society that has completely fucked that social construct. And everywhere it can, it's making men out to be demonic. And then women are like, well, I don't want to marry a demon. Like, if I'm going to be oppressed, I might as well be oppressed by Christian Grey, not Joe the plumber. Right? That's where the ridiculous hypergamy is coming from, that these guys are responding to. The masculinity influencers, they're responding to it. Although it's actually pretty hilarious because they'll be out like, they'll say, yeah, women's standards are ridiculous. They're just insane. Buy my course, 10 installments of $6.99, and you will be able to live up to the ridiculous and insane standards of women. It's like, I mean, I'd sort of agree with her. That's an interesting approach. That's I don't know if I think that that's exactly what we need right now. I honestly think we need to have these institutions stop undermining men at every available opportunity. And then we can just see if things just improve, right? Like, we stop poisoning the relationship between men and women. See if it grows back a bit. Stop saying that men oppress women. Maybe women will stop this situation where they think, well, if I'm going to be oppressed regardless, then the only thing I've got to optimize for is being oppressed by the best man I can get. Like, here's the thing. If you say that the relationship between men and women is oppression, then the only men who are going to make a woman say yes to that are the top 25%. Think about it. No woman's going to say, yes, I'll be oppressed by, Joe Average. If she's going to be oppressed, she better be oppressed by the best. That's what's constructing this entire insanity of hypergamy, which has only existed here and possibly in harem cultures, but we won't talk about that. It hasn't been like this. It wasn't like this 30 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. Trust me on this, guys. I mean, I am a woman, so maybe I didn't really understand how it was going, but at least when I looked around me, I saw people pairing up and getting into relationships. This is really bad. And of course, this woman will never allow us to even skirt why it's gotten so bad. All right, let's continue.
All right. In theory, there should be nothing alarming about men's desire to improve their appearance, get healthier, or become more disciplined. So, or here we go. Here's them saying, well, technically there's nothing wrong with this, but in practice, though, these pursuits rarely exist in a vacuum. Even if you were to strip male self-optimization culture of its more extreme and bizarre practices, all the blood swapping and testicle eating and whatnot, it remains aesthetically, ideologically, and even linguistically closely connected to the manosphere, the online network of male-centered communities promoting rigid gender roles and anti-feminist, misogynistic beliefs. So there you go. There is the delivery method. Okay, the manosphere did this. Okay, fine. So
this is rich coming from a woman who cites a bunch of studies. I don't even want to call them studies that basically amount to shaming men for having anxieties over anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you got to realize where this, like, she is. Just imagine her in like some black cape with a cap atop of a pulpit saying, "That's rebel scum." Like, what? That's because that's where she's calling from. She's coming from a position where they have utterly defined men's mate value everywhere you could define it. Like, they've captured the entire thing. They control it. Wherever there's any kind of centralizing resource describing how men are and do, the studies, the people involved in the studies that she cites and the movement that she's part of, they're there to poison the well when it comes to men. They have okay. On the legal definition, they have tremendous amounts of malice towards men. And they use every lever and every crack and every committee and every possible pulpit to spew their malice against men. To reframe men not as, husbands and fathers and providers and protectors, but as dominators, oppressors, rapists, and beaters. Like this, they're doing it everywhere. And it's saturating everything. It's leaked into the groundwater. And again, it's why the dating market is so distorted, so disrupted, so screwed up. And the funny thing is that they will term, I'll just look at this from a zoological perspective. If you have a female mammal that isn't reproducing, something is freaking wrong. Right? If she has abundance, she has access to mates, she's got safety, security, whatever, and she's not reproducing, something is wrong. And these people look at that and say it's empowerment because they're trying to hide just how much destruction they've caused to us, to men and to women, and to a relationship between the two. And it's unbelievable because it's like nothing in the manosphere compares to this. I don't see the manosphere publishing studies on how femininity is the source of all evil. Like maybe there are a few who say that women can be evil or that they are amoral is actually more the approach that I think they take, that they do whatever men sort of lead them into.
Yeah.
But regardless, they don't have this kind of clout. I don't even think they have this level of animosity towards women. Most of the times when they're saying something, it's like, oh, women are really frustrating. Well, what can you do? Let's try to figure out how to appeal to them. Right? I mean, you can't have that much animosity to something that you ultimately want in your life. Right? That's your goal. But these individuals, I don't know if they're destroying their own relationships. I think we've looked at whether or not the people who say this stuff actually practice it, but they sure as hell want to destroy everybody else's. And that's the funny thing. The manosphere is simply reacting to what feminism has done to the dating landscape. Because when you teach generations of girls that heterosexuality is the site of oppression, then the only reason why you would consent to a relationship with a man is if he's on the very top of the ziggurat. Like, why would you, like, seriously, if you were, okay, why would you want to be a slave to Joe the plumber? Right? If you're going to be a slave, that's what they're saying to women. You damn well better be a slave to the emperor, right? No man is going to live up to that. Because now the bar that men have to get over isn't, hey, is he a good dude? Does he show up? Do I find him attractive? Right? Will he help me take care of the kids? Will he provide that kind of thing? Now the bar that men have to get over is, will he make turning me into a slave worth my while? Right? Yeah, very few men are going to get over that bar. Right? Will he make being oppressed as a woman? I mean, can he make up for that? What kind of man can make up for the fact that if I have sex with him, if I'm in a relationship, he's oppressing me? What kind of man can make up for my oppression? Well, obviously, only the top 5%, 2%, 1%, 0.1% could possibly make up for that. And feminists injected that into everything. And the dating market has responded. I'm probably going to have to chill because I do need you guys to finish this fundraiser off so we can continue to do this work. I can continue to yell at you 3 times a week.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
All right.
Brian, you want to do some more?
Yeah, sure. I thought you were in a shill. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll just read. It's okay. I'll read. So yeah, so it's the manosphere. We've landed on the manosphere. They are ultimately the reason why men go to the gym, apparently. Bartlett's Diary of a CEO, for example, has, on several occasions, hosted guests who have suggested that society should put systems in place to ensure lonely men have partners, or that anti-family women are responsible for declining birth rates. Oh no, the humanity. Meanwhile, looks maxing and other terms ending in maxing have directly originated on incel, involuntarily celibate, forums, the most misogynistic and extremist corners of the manosphere. So now we just have to connect the threads to find ways to demonize Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, by saying, well, he's basically manosphere. Why? Because he had on somebody, I don't know who, let's find out. I'm just going to look and see who they're talking about. Did the Diary of the CEO take the red pill? And this is from The Cut. And of course, it is behind a paywall. So I'm going to archive it because I am smart and I know how to get around these things. Okay. This is from January of 2026, so it's kind of old. Did the Diary of a CEO take the red pill? Stephen Bartlett, yeah, I doubt it. He's basically a male feminist for the most part. So I'm just gonna like quickly like sort of go through this really quick. Okay, so he had Chris Williamson on his show. I guess that's the reason. I didn't know that Chris Williamson was on Love Island. I mean, I didn't watch that, so no, whatever. But yeah, so I guess because he had Chris Williamson on, and Chris Williamson has on some people who have been critical of the feminist movement. Basically, that was it. I mean, as far as I know. But Chris Williamson's always been very careful not to piss off, like, you know, the people that run the narrative, essentially. And it hasn't done him any good because he's still going to get associated with these people anyway. So, there's no reason to conceal your intentions. Just come on out of the dark and come forward and just say, look, I care about men. Because that was all it is. Chris Williamson comes from a position of caring about men in like a normie way. Like, how do I do that without upsetting women? Which is impossible. But that's his approach. So we're talking about guys that are generally sympathetic to feminist worldviews. Bartlett and Chris Williamson. I would bet you Brian Johnson is also a big feminist guy. Even Liver King is probably a pretty big feminist guy. I'm willing to bet that they are not as non-feminist as we are, at least. And it doesn't matter. Incels, like, I'm sure that the overwhelming majority of incels are themselves also male feminists because they are in the... they're frustrated at their position mainly because they're trying to gain the favor of women and it's not working out for them. And they have bought into the lies about them that feminism tells them about their nature. So as a result of that, they're going to become embittered, and they may want to direct their anger towards men who are out competing them on the dating market, but it's not really the fault of those men either. So anyway, all right.
Yeah, no, it's not. Like, honestly, I don't know why people don't. Maybe I do know, but it seems really obvious to me that if you poison the relationship between men and women with the kind of crap that feminism spouts off about, and the funny thing is that people who won't say boo to feminists will refuse to make this connection. I wonder if the two are connected actually. But it's like, yeah, if you tell women that heterosexuality is oppression, and there's like most women believe a good portion of feminist nonsense right now because it's what they've been raised in. And
Yeah.
what do you think the reasonable response to that is? Is it to continue to want to be in a relationship with the average man? No. The rational response is to say, well, if I'm going to be oppressed anyway, I better get the best bang out of my buck. All right then, bang for my buck. And the best bang for my buck is not Joe the plumber. It is Christian Grey. Right? And
Yep.
and of course the target keeps going up and up and up. The more the worse the feminist rhetoric gets, the higher the target goes. And it is a purely rational response by women. And no, this level of hypergamy is insane. Okay? And it is actually a rational response by women. If you tell women, oh, well, you get in a relationship with a man, you're going to be dominated and oppressed, and you're going to lose out. You're basically going to be a slave. You know, if that's your situation, if you're in Rome in the slave market, then all you can really hope for or aim for is to be the slave of the emperor, not the slave of like the sewer worker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy who slings boxes down at the dock. And that actually happened though, you know. But yeah, it's like you just maximize your oppression position. So until we stop saying this to women, we're going to inherit all the corruption, the problems of saying it to women. It's just reality. And like I mean, it's just like you can't expect people who are being told this, women who are being told this, especially since the average person doesn't really question that much, as far as I can tell. You just can't expect them to choose men under these circumstances. And that is probably the most depressing thing I could tell you guys. I'm really sorry. I actually really don't like saying it. But this is what I see when I analyze things. I can see the connection between telling women that heterosexuality is a site of oppression with their wholesale dismissal of the average man and aiming for a man that's going to make that oppression worth their while. Like I see the connection here, and I see that the only solution is to somehow lessen the influence of the people who write things like precarious manhood, which essentially is that we're going to get to the precarious manhood stuff, right? That precarious manhood stuff is essentially shaming men for having anxiety over the fact that they're judged for not being manly enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's incredibly not just shaming men, but making them out to be some kind of villains because they have anxiety over whether or not other people see them as men, or whether or not they feel like they live up to a standard, which incidentally is just the way the operative mind works. You want to live up to an external standard. You set an external standard for yourself and you try to live up to it. And you judge yourself based on whether or not you live up to that. That is literally like the substrate of how operative minds work in the world. So basically what they've said is that the way that men think is an abomination and they should be ashamed of it. And if they can't handle both holding themselves to an external standard and not caring if they fail, then they deserve everything that befalls them. We gotta somehow reduce their influence. I have ideas of how to reduce their influence, by the way, guys. I'm trying to do my part. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, this podcast is part of that. So I might as well do a shill. All right, I want to thank Hunzi. He put in $50. Thank you, Hunzi. And that means we are now at $420, which is not too bad. Like, I think there's about 80, 90 of you here. So let's see, math is not my strong suit when I'm wandering around thinking about feminist psychology. But if half of you put in $10, we'd be done. So go to feedthebadger.com/feedthebadger.com/support. That's the support option. In case you guys are going to feedthebadger.com/justthetip, that's not where the fundraiser is. That's where you put in your super chows. So go to feedthebadger.com/support and help us out. So we got to somehow reduce the power of these people to define what men are, because they are lying. They are liars, pants on fire. All of them. All of the entire freaking field. And they know it. I'm pretty sure they know it. Because they had the thing is this field, the field that she's going to cite, they had the option to go with a scale that was positive. It's called the BSRI. These BRSI. It is a scale of actual positive masculine traits. And get this, it actually has scientific validity compared to the conformity to masculine norms, which has none. Right?
Yeah.
The positive scale actually shows to have predictive value. The men are evil scale shows none. And the reason why is because men reject it. They're like, the feminists keep giving them freaking surveys that say, are you evil? And men are like, no, I don't know. Do you endorse evil things? And then men are like, not really. They're lying. God damn, it is infuriating. But anyway, please help feedthebadger.com/support. Don't let these people win. Okay.
Yeah, don't let them win. Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
All right. If you were to draw a Venn diagram of these two worlds, one of the most significant overlaps would also be their shared obsession with status. Much like the various subcultures of the manosphere, from incels to pickup artists, self-optimizing influencers frequently equate perfection and excellence with being the highest ranking individual in the male pecking order, whether the focus is wealth, power, success, popularity, attractiveness, biological superiority, or physical dominance, or all of the above. The desired outcome remains the same: to climb higher and higher, ideally to the very top within a given domain. Yeah, something that only men do, right? Completely unique to men. Trying to increase your status. Okay. So I'll just keep going. So as Ashley Ogawa Clark observed in a Vogue article earlier this year. Oh yeah, let's read a quote from the philosophical powerhouse rag known as Vogue. Male optimization in 2026 is all about finding new ways to mark yourself out. If you can't be the richest or the hottest, maybe you can live the longest. What the male self-improvement industry sells then isn't just supplements or wearable tech or sleep tracking apps or red light therapy. It's status too. You're not enough yet, but if you buy whatever we're selling, you too can become a high status optimized man, the kind of man who matters.
Do you think that husbands?
Why?
Do you think husbands? Is this really selling to men with women? Aside from the men who want to make sure they can keep them, like, do they think about this stuff? Why is it that men want to optimize? Now I know Brian Johnson is probably got a wife, considering he has a child, but
well, he has a son.
He's
yeah,
vampirizing on.
Yeah.
Is he really doing that?
Yeah, he's getting blood transfer. Look, he's a weirdo. He's a weirdo billionaire guy who spent like billions of dollars. He's a billionaire. He's spending billions of dollars to he wants to live forever. He thinks he can do it. He's just going to be another in a long list of people that just,
I don't
grow
know,
old and die. But I mean,
I at some point when you're like vampirizing your own son's blood, do you ever just stop and say, "Hey, I think I've taken this too far"? Like, I can't believe that anybody would follow this man. How did he become a billionaire?
I don't know. I have to look in. I don't know what he made, but like the thing is, he isn't admired. Not as far as I know. I think most people think he's weird for doing that, and that includes a lot of men. But he is. I mean, he is rich. It's his money. Do whatever you want. Maybe he thinks he can do it. I don't know. But nobody thinks this guy is like the bomb. The men do not look up to this guy. So, venture capitalist, author, really former CEO of Camel, a company creating devices that monitor and record brain activity. He's also the founder, chairman, and CEO of Braintree, a company specializing in mobile and web payment systems for e-commerce. He acquired Venmo. So he owns them. So yeah, he's basically a guy with his finger in multiple pots. So
Okay.
um
So since Robin, nobody has put in, or sorry, since the last individual, nobody has put anything in. So let me see here. The heck? Yeah. So guys, feedthebadger.com/support. Even $5. I don't want to say even, that's plenty. Just put $5 in. Go to feedthebadger.com/support. I know it's partly because you just don't want to leave and miss the festivities, but just put it in your URL, feedthebadger.com/support, to help us out. We're really close,
yeah.
and it would be very much appreciated if we actually get to the fundraised, like what we need to, because it is a huge weight off my mind, as you know, like I battle the forces of fucking evil. So feedthebadger.com/support to help me out, or help Brian out, and help Hannah out, and the rest of HBR for the month. Feedthebadger.com/support. I may have to increase the amount of time that I pester you guys if you don't start going, because I got to get that amount in, especially this month because of that fiasco with the 300 or 600, like the ultimate Badger patron who wasn't. Anyway, feedthebadger.com slash feedthebadger.com/support. Please do it. All right,
All right.
let's keep going.
Okay. What makes all of this even more insidious is social media algorithms' ability and tendency to target users when they're at their most vulnerable. Men and boys are often drawn into these unspoken competitions of masculinity not because they consciously seek them out, but because they are already feeling insecure, lonely, or anxious, or inadequate. And once inside, they can find themselves trapped in a cycle of comparison against an endless stream of seemingly higher status peers. Why do they feel insecure, lonely, anxious, or inadequate? Why?
I wonder, why are so
Like,
many
she just says
feeling that way?
that and doesn't like even think this should be talked about. Just they feel like, and you know, even if she was pressed on it, I bet her answer would be, well, they feel threatened because women something can do stuff now. You know, John Francois, okay, gives us $10 and says, super chow. Just want to thank you guys for everything you do, and specifically for having Pearl on the Fireside Chat. It was a good interview, and I'm looking forward to her upcoming documentary. Please add the donation to the fundraiser. So he meant to put it towards the fundraiser, but he did not. All right.
Okay, yeah, we
Thank
were
you for
talking
that.
about that.
Yeah.
We were
Okay.
talking about that in the chat. He wanted to know if I would put it through the fundraiser if he sent a message, and I will. If you guys do it at feedthebadger.com/justthetip with a message, and you just say you wanted to put it to the fundraiser, I'll do it. I will make the extra effort, but
There you
please, let's
go.
get this done. So we now are at 410. Used to be that I could like shill and would work a lot better, but anyway, if you want to help out, please do help out if you want us to continue, because if we can't meet these monthly fundraisers, we do have to reconsider continuing. So go to feedthebadger.com/support and put a few shekels in the hat. $5, $10, every bit helps. Don't think that it's meaningless, because if every one of you just put in like $5 now, we'd be done. Be over.
Yeah.
So please do think about doing this. Just $5. Okay.
All right.
Feedthebadger.com/support.
Optimizing yourself out of your loserdom, out of your perceived failure to measure up as a man, then becomes your one and only priority. Again, they're doing this thing where they're like, you know, you feel like you're failing to measure up as a man. Measure up to what? To what? Who's imposing the standard? Now, of course, she's going to say it's other men doing this. It's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
somehow
It's going to be blamed on men, but it's not men. Go ahead.
men give each other privilege, but at the same time hold each other to high standards. And
Yeah, it's
when
patriarchy
they fail those
backfiring.
standards, but the thing is that it can't both be true. Manhood can't be a status conferred on you by other men just by virtue of existing, but also something that's precarious that can be taken away. Like patriarchal privilege can't be both of those things. Patriarchal privilege can't be a privilege and also an expectation that you can fail. That is like a contradiction in terms. I know relational web thinking does not understand contradiction in terms. They just move the freaking coordinate like some kind of four-dimensional creature. And then they're like, no, this isn't a contradiction. That makes perfect sense, herpaderp, because it both lands on me being right. But it's not. Like men cannot be privileged, simultaneously privileged, and their only value be granted to them when they uphold an external standard. Masculinity can't be privileged and precarious. Just doesn't work. Contradiction in terms. All right.
Yes, one or the other. All right. NovaFan21 gave us a Rumble rant for $1 and says, I legit got told by a retard that Andrew Tate via the algorithm on social media is what was programming my mind to hate feminism. Never mind the TV shows during the 20th century reacting to feminism. Yeah, I don't know why you would be told that. Andrew Tate didn't just suddenly like change the landscape. I think that's just, well, you're right. They were retarded. But anyway. All right. A recent meta-analysis published in Personality and Social Psychology Review, which examined more than 120 experiments involving nearly 20,000 men, predominantly from Western countries, found that men still experience masculinity as an insecure status that must be continually reaffirmed. This aligns with the precarious manhood theory developed by social psychologists Joseph Vandello and Jennifer Bosson. Manhood, in this view, is hard won and easily lost. And when men feel like they're falling short of its demands, emotional distress follows. As Sven Kachel, one of the lead researchers behind the meta-analysis, explains, the effects are surprisingly strong when men conclude that they do not conform to the masculine ideal, stronger than when they receive external feedback. Especially when others are present, the pressure to present oneself as masculine increases. All right, so now we're talking about the study. Do you want to say anything before
How is it that masculinity is hard won and easily lost and men are privileged? There is no answer to that.
No, there's no answer.
Yeah, there's no answer. Patriarchy hurts men too. That doesn't make sense. If patriarchy is a club that men can only get into when they earn their way in, then what they get when they get in the club is not privilege. It's an exchange that they get for the risk and sacrifices they've made to get in. Okay? So it either men have to win their way in to the patriarchy club, which does not make what they get privilege, or this is just bullshit. Everything that they're talking about is bullshit. I'm pushing on this because I am tired of these contradictions and this illogic being allowed to float and just skate by. If men are privileged, masculinity is not precarious. And here's the other thing. These particular researchers, they're part of the same field, the psychology of men and masculinities. If they want men to be violent because of gender role strain, in other words, men are violent because they can't live up to being men, then they also simultaneously want to say that men are violent when they live up to being men. No, you can't. All right? You cannot say, okay, so you have a population of men. The men who live up to being men are not violent. The men who don't live up to being men are violent. Why? Probably because they're frustrated about their identity and other aspects of their lives. It's probably like a fellow traveler for a lot of things, feeling like you are not sufficiently able to provide, be able to protect, all that kind of stuff. Right? But then you can't then turn around and say masculine norms cause violence against women. That doesn't work. Then that's what these researchers want. They want simultaneously to say that men who are strained in their relationships to their masculinity are violent, and also when they're perfectly content with their relationship with masculinity, they're also violent. Well, it's one or the other. I mean, it's basically they just want to say men are violent, of course. But scientifically, it's one or the other. It's either the thing or the absence of the thing. It's not the thing and the absence of the thing. That's circular and unfalsifiable. That's not science. You're just a freaking. You are a bias, a hatred dressed up in the robe of science. You're like cosplaying as science. Okay.
All right,
I wanted to
I saw a comment from Egregious Charles. He said, Badger Live at Badger Live Streams a link, feedthebadger.com, feedthebadgers.com /support.
Feed the Badger.
Yeah,
Feedthebadger.com.
is bad. I think he put the wrong link. Maybe it was misspelled. Should it be? And then I guess he put in the Badger Media Blitz, feedthebadger.com /badger-media-blitz.
Support. Is that not working?
I
Is
don't
that why
know.
this is happening?
I don't know.
No, the support, it works for me, but maybe I've got.
He may
Maybe-
have. You have different access. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
So
I don't
are
know.
you saying that the link doesn't work? Feed the Badger, just one. feedthebadger.com/support. That doesn't work?
Well, we'll
Because-
see.
okay.
Maybe he was wrong because what he says, the link, and then he shares the link, and the link says feed the badgers /support. So not even a .com in there. So like, yeah, let us know if it works. Try again, but let's
shouldn't have an
go
S.
ahead with what
Shouldn't
you
have
were
an S.
saying. No, it shouldn't have an S.
Yeah, no, I'm done. Like,
Okay.
you can't test for the thing and not the thing and say both of them prove your conclusion.
Alison,
That's not
he's
science.
saying that this is how you posted it. He's copying what you put.
Oh.
So it should be feedthebadger.com /support.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let me post it correctly for you guys, or I guess I sent you to a black hole. I do have a thank you. Just give me a moment for it to load up.
Okay.
And let's see. Anonymous put in $10. Thank you, Anonymous. I don't know if you wanted to be anonymous, but you are. And see if we got anything else. Nope. So if you want to help, feedthebadger.com/support, and I'll put the corrected link in. We now have 400 to go. Actually, no, we have we have 390 to go. So we're getting there. So please do help at feedthebadger.com/support. Badger without an S. Feedthebadger.com/support. And if you want to put it through Super Chow, go ahead. Just indicate that you want me to put it on the actual fundraiser. I'll do that all at once. Okay.
All right. So humans are generally sensitive to status, but men on average are particularly so. Well, then you're basically just saying women are not as concerned as men. You're just like, there's literally, never mind. After all, traditional masculine norms have long tied men's worth to various status markers, financial or professional success, physical dominance, authority, power, etc. When men's sense of value then becomes dependent on these external measures, especially when they also feel themselves lagging behind others, the result is usually status anxiety. And status anxiety affects both how they feel and how they behave. So now we're going to get to the point where they're saying, she's going to say, I'm just predicting this, that a man who feels status anxiety because his masculinity is in peril because other men are imposing their status on him is going to result in him potentially hurting women. That's where they're going to land, because that's where they always land. So, well, okay. Another recent study published in Sociology Compass found a connection between status anxiety, competitive environments, and a greater willingness to engage in risky, self-optimizing practices aimed at improving one's social standing. If a person is already anxious about where they rank and perceives others as climbing the ladder ahead of them, the pressure to optimize, even in damaging ways, intensifies. Now apply this to young men and boys immersed in the manosphere, adjacent optimization circus. How many of them will buckle under the pressure and spiral into obsessive self-improvement that borders on self-destruction? How many will chase dubious, high-risk, unethical, or even illegal shortcuts to a higher status? Not all, but definitely some. Okay, I can't lie and say it's all of them, but it's going to be some, and isn't that scary? You don't actually care that the market for this stuff would not exist if those men were able to just like pair bond and get a job
Yes.
and afford a regular wage, like live on a regular wage with a woman and have kids. None of this stuff would exist if those things were there, but they're not there, and you guys don't want to change that. You actually want to make money off of that. You want to use that to get more power, and now you're just blaming men for their situation. I mean, of course you are. So,
Yeah. Well,
all
the
right.
situation that her ideology caused, because she doesn't want
Yes.
anybody to start pulling the threads. And and I'm going to be really honest, like you don't have to go to this whole idea that you want to create a society where women are assigned to men, although that's basically a tribal society. But and that's not what we came off of. We were a Christian society and consent was a big part of the sacrament, right?
Yes.
Um, so that was never really a thing for us, at least in Northern Northern Europe and all of the countries that sort of descended from there. But anyway, my point is we don't have to go back to, or not even go back to, we don't have to propose that women be assigned to men or that women be obligated to have male partners or that, we take away women's education aside from the education to hate men. That we might want to curtail, shall we speak, um, or their economic contributions, because that they've always done that. They've always been educated. They've always, to whatever degree was reasonable for their station, and they've always been contributing to their families economically. What the idea is, the question is, why should men invest in a system that actively undermines them as sexual, romantic, and relationship partners? Why should they do that? And I think that those systems that actually make men legible to women, so they make it so that women understand how men do and that how men express their love, how men express their loyalty, how men move through the world. Those systems that make men legible to women and make men's love legible to women are ones that succeed best. They're called monogamous. They're generally associated with monogamy. Actually, they're almost exclusively associated with monogamy. But I think that's exactly it. The most successful system was a very strictly monogamous system where both parties consented to the relationship, so there was no actual coercion, right? Economic or otherwise, or if there was, it was equal on both parties. Men needed women's economic contribution. Women needed their men's economic contribution or their physical contribution to the household or the homestead, whatever, right? There was that kind of an equality. I don't mean like an equality like the feminist term of equality, but the idea that both bring something to the relationship, and it was based on consent, and it was monogamous, and it worked. Because I think it made men's love legible to women. So they chose them out of their own free will. And those men were investing in a system that, what did it say? It said that a husband loves his wife as Christ loved the church. That's actually a pretty good sales pitch, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful sales pitch. Hey, ladies, this is what a man's love is. And then everybody invested in that system. It was great. You know, people got pair bonded, the children were raised. People's lapses weren't quite as punished as people think, but they were still not considered to be ideal. And it worked. And that was because it made men's love legible to women. Right? And now we're here in this society, and the people who control the pulpit are saying men are demons who want to oppress women. That is the act. Like, that's not just not making men's love legible to women. It's replacing that legibility with a complete lie about men. And then women rationally say, I don't be oppressed by a demon. And if I do have to be oppressed by a demon, I'm not going for any, like sulfur puddle, cleaner demon. I'm going for Satan. Like, that's a perfectly rational response. I know I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's because the people in the pulpit have pumped so much toxicity into what people perceive men to be. And that's what's happened. And we don't need to say, oh, we want to get back to a society where men are assigned a woman. That wasn't the society we were part of. We were just part of a society that said, we're going to make men's love legible to women so women want a man. They think it's prestigious to have a man, to be a wife. Make men's love legible to women. Give it a nice sales pitch. No, it doesn't even really need a sales pitch, but just explain it. And now men are expected to invest in a culture that does even worse than the exact opposite. I mean, even a neutral culture would be better than this. But just like a culture that's like, yeah, guys, you're on your own. We're not going to say anything. Even that would be better. But instead, these people are insisting men invest in a culture that turns their love into a toxic, vile, sinful thing. And tells women, you would be a fool to invite this into your life. And that's what people are, that's what this woman is arguing. She doesn't want you to question that. She doesn't want men to say, hey, wait, what am I doing? Why am I supporting? And you guys are supporting this. You're supporting it through your tax dollars. Me, I have to, go out and say, hey, would you spare a dime, throw a few shekels in our hat? These people get billions, millions to pursue the corruption of what is every other belief system in history around the planet. They consider it a sacrament. Or if they're Confucians, they consider it basically the practical foundation of society. I'm not sure if they recognize a sacrament, but everybody else considers it sacred. And the feminists have called what every other religion, not just Christianity, Shintoism, Hindu, Buddhism, right? Judaism, every other pagan religions call this a sacrament. They consider the relationship between men and women in marriage to be a sacrament. Every single one throughout human history. And this one that we have says it's evil, says it's the site of oppression, says that men just want to use their relationships with women to lord it over them and beat and rape them into their positions as inferiors. Just one ideology says this out of all of human history. And somehow we've convinced ourselves it's right. And it's also not satanic. Like maybe our ancestors had something about, this being considered, marriage being considered sacred, or the relationship between men and women being considered sacred. Maybe they understood something.
Yeah.
Nah, they're all rubes. No, feminism's got it. Feminism's got it all figured out. The human race didn't come from the relationship between men and women. Feminism created humans.
Yes.
That's why feminism knows exactly what human beings need to do, especially women. God damn. Anyway, my overall point is we don't have to imagine a world in which men are assigned women. We can just imagine a society that either maybe goes back to making their love legible to women so women want a man, or alternatively just gets the hell out of the way. Right? We could try that. Let's go to that. Give that a go. I don't even think men want a woman assigned to them, honestly. No, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't speak for you guys.
I don't think men want that either. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe things would have been. I don't think we can go back to another time. But I think that when people were looking to sort of spend the rest of their life with people who were like in their community that they grew up with, that they knew. That was probably like the best way to like get into something that's, not likely to implode. But
Mm-hmm.
since since we've been able to like talk to anyone from anywhere, it's opened up our options. But I think it's also created another problem, especially with the women, because the women now have access to so much variety that they're not going to choose in many cases. I mean, unless they like make it a point to only, like marry a guy that they know because they know the same family members or whatever. They have some like proximity connection. But I think that this is going to be an issue. But assigning people to other people is not the solution. So I don't think men want that anyway.
Well,
They want the same thing. Honestly, they want the same thing that a lot of women want. They just want to be with somebody that loves them and wants to wants the best for them and wants to become like a partnership, together where, but um but
okay, I have some thank yous.
yeah, good.
Okay, so we're grinding it down, guys. All right, so I want to thank Sleepy for 10, Zarinx for 10, Egregious for 10. Guys are all going with the 10.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
No, but
Yeah,
that's
no, it's
like
good.
it's better to do the smaller. If more people gave the smaller amounts, I think that's a lot better for everybody. So
Yeah. Well, not that I'm dissing the larger amounts either. But
no, 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 no. Obviously not. But like, if you're like able to continue because you have like
yes.
2 or 3 big donors, that's cool. But like, if something happens to one of them or they lose their job or whatever, especially because they're investing so much, I think that it just would be easier on everybody if like we have more people giving smaller amounts.
No, I'm
So
not. I didn't mean to sound like I was throwing shade. I
no,
was just
no,
like,
I don't
it
think
was
you
the
are.
repetition that was amusing me.
We're all
But
tens
anyway,
here.
yeah, we're all, yeah, you guys have voted. We're all
We're
tens
all
here.
tens. Yes. Any
Well,
more thank yous?
oh, let me check, and I'll do another call out. I mean, it's great. Like I don't. It's good to be moving. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see if there's an. Okay, so that I did do the thank yous that are currently pending, and if you would like to support, everything helps. So don't, like, if you want to add another $10 to the leisure and keep the streak going. Feedthebadger.com/just the tip. No, sorry, not that one. Feedthebadger.com/support, please. And I'll let you guys get some stuff in, and I'll check again in a few minutes, or like a little bit, and then if nothing has occurred, then I will do another call out. So feedthebadger.com/ or I'll thank you. Feedthebadger.com/support. All right, let's go, Brian.
Okay. Besides, it's not just the online self optimization sphere that's fueling this, whether directly or not. The prediction market industry, which consists of online platforms where people can bet on future events, also heavily markets itself to and is disproportionately used by young men. Timothy Chalamet, he's an actor, the 30-year-old actor just fronted a series of adverts for Kalshi, one of the leading prediction platforms. Logan Paul, the YouTuber turned wrestler, meanwhile, is sponsored by its competitor, Polymarket. But there's something else that tends to. Well, you know what? Let me stop there for a second. Again, you're bringing up Timothy Chalamet and Logan Paul to make an argument about men in general, like every man in the country. How many men even watch those guys? Timothy Chalamet, he's like a Hollywood guy. Last thing I saw him in was Dune 2 or whatever it was. Um, no, I mean, this is a stretch. All I'm saying is it's weird that you're trying to like connect these threads together, but whatever. I'm not a woman, so. But there's something else that tends to supercharge both status anxiety and the risky behaviors it encourages: inequality. As philosopher Alain de Botton, whose 2004 book Status Anxiety popularized the concept, wrote, quote, "The desire for high status is never stronger than in situations where ordinary life fails to answer a median need for dignity and comfort." Wait a minute. How does ordinary life not answer the median need for dignity and comfort? Are you serious? Like, we are living in the United States of America, or in the Western world if you're not in the US, which is where, like, even the poorest people are, they're not starving. In fact, they're obese, if anything. They live in the freest country ever. They live better than kings of eras past, like better than Louis XIV, better than Napoleon, better than King Charles I. Like, they lived better lives than those guys, right? There is no like, what I'm saying is, the lifestyle is not the reason for this, and this is a stretch. The desire for high status is never stronger than in situations where ordinary life fails to answer a immediate need for dignity and comfort. We all have those things. Dignity is like, you seek that out on your own. Comfort, we all have access to. If we live in the first world, you're fine, okay? And if you're homeless or something, you're not reading this article anyway. You're not watching Liver King and fucking Brian Johnson online. You're just trying to, like, get your next meal. So no, that it just okay, whatever. By many measures. Well, go ahead.
Right, the desire for high status is never stronger than in situations where ordinary life fails to answer a median need for dignity and comfort. Well, for men, having a partner, for a pair bonding species, having a partner is a median need for dignity and comfort. And again, I'm not saying assign women to men. I'm saying stop undercutting men's ability to acquire a partner. Stop undercutting it. Right? And she's saying that now she's saying that, or she's creating this sympathetic thing. So are we sympathizing with the fact that men have this status anxiety now? Because what she's saying is it's a part of something that's being forced on everyone or something, right? So it's a
Inequality.
deprivation.
Yeah.
It's a deprivation. I don't want to say inequality. It's a deprivation. So she's saying, well, men have the status anxiety because of a deprivation. Okay, so are you going to continue to condemn them for it? Or are you saying that it's a sensible response? Is what I'm getting at.
Uh-huh.
Let's keep going.
All right. By many measures, ordinary life increasingly fails to answer that need. By many measures. Okay. Particularly for younger generations, as wealth and income inequality have widened significantly in recent years. At the same time, stable employment, affordable housing, and long-term economic security have become more difficult to attain. Plus, the zero-sum logic of neoliberal capitalism that helped create these very conditions is itself intertwined with obsessive status seeking, pushing all of us to compete endlessly for what we're told are scarce opportunities and rewards. And even as the odds of winning shrink, many of us keep playing the game. So now we're landing on, it's capitalism's fault, of course. So that means, so that means that what this person means by when they say the wealth and income inequality have widened significantly, remember, no matter what they're going to say about the men in this, in terms of how they're dealing with these wealth and income inequalities, the women have it worse because they're the victims of wealth and income inequality. So when this person says they feel like they need to compete, again, I have to ask, compete with who? Compete with who? And of course, they're not going to say women, even though, like, I think that on average, women are they're still making a little bit more than men because in the workplace. But that doesn't mean that it needs to be addressed, because that's just like, historical oppression. We're just correcting for past mistakes, past sins. But that also means that those women don't want those men. They don't want most men. Even men who are making more than them, they don't want, because those men are not making enough more. Like more by, enough. So, yeah, they're not going to address this. Now, this is just going to turn to a communist creed at this point, I think. Let's find out if I'm wrong. You think you can't control what's going on and change the rules, so you focus instead on controlling things within your own individual bubble. As Bartlett often reminds his followers, the only thing we can control in life is ourselves. The problem is that these attempts to control and optimize and maximize and hack whatever you can don't necessarily work as advertised either. So now they're going to say, at least, before this is over, she'll probably say what we need to do is collectivize, overthrow capitalism, and vote for insert, Zoran Mamdani look-alike here. Okay, so young men who consume masculinity influencer content and not just the overly misogynistic variety are more likely to report worse mental health outcomes and a reduced willingness to prioritize it, engaging in risky health behaviors, and feel frustrated with dating. Teenage boys exposed to this content are also more likely to feel lonely, isolated, anxious, and struggle with their self-esteem. Again, why? Who is doing this to them? Why are men feeling this way? Why are men frustrated with dating? Can we look into this at all? I don't think we're going to. Let's see. Let me open this link here. Young men's health in a digital world. Yeah, I don't believe any of you guys. Men and masculinity, yeah, it's basically the same arguments. They just have a different.
Well, yeah,
it's
you
like a
can.
different paper.
It's a very good likelihood that they don't. And the reason why I say that is the same people that are currently turning the economy into a gigantic fatberg. And what I mean by that is, when you backstop, like when you basically capitalize the gains, socialize the losses, you construct an economy that is very, let's say stagnant, very top heavy. Because what happens is all the big players can never die, no matter what they do. They just get to the point where they can force all of their losses on the American taxpayers, right? So this creates a very stratified economy with huge chasms between the haves and the have-nots. The haves are who's ever closest to the money nozzle. And no longer can men really succeed by simply becoming productive, making something, building something, maintaining something. So the thing is that the very people who are promoting this system, who are creating this system, capitalizing gains, socializing losses, are also promoting women like this and undercutting men as both workers and as partners. I mean, I don't know if that sounds commie. That's not how I meant it. They're silencing men as workers and they're undercutting men as partners. So this is part of the whole. The funny thing is that she works for the very people she calls out here. The very people who are destroying the free market economy, the free market, in order to construct this very hierarchical system where they're on top because they get the Fed backstopping, they get to socialize their losses to the taxpayer, increasingly smaller amounts of taxpayers, right? And they justify all of this, the feminist firewall that says that men are terrible people.
Mm-hmm.
They justify their interventions into all of this with diversity effort, ESG. It's why the remuneration, the CEO pay has gone from 20 to 30 times the average worker to 200 to 300, in some cases 600 times the average worker. Because everything has become about financialization, not production. Before, the CEO's wage would be tied to actually producing something. Now it's tied to things like pursuing ESG and DEI and taking loans in order to buy back stocks and all kinds of other chicanery. And again, it's all just a good portion of it is justified by feminism. Man, it takes a while to set this one up, so I'm going to step away from it and just remind everybody that we are doing our fundraiser. If you're new, the rest of you know, and you're tired of me saying this. And if you would please help out at feedthebadger.com/support. We are slowly grinding it down. We are at now, technically, let me open up the leaderboard. I didn't have anybody to thank so far. So if you guys would put something in at feedthebadger.com/support, we are at $370 left. 370. So we're getting there. Feedthebadger.com/support, guys. Please help out. I know there might be some difficulty with the credit card option, which may be why this is going slow. I am looking into it, but we can still use PayPal if you are willing to do that. Feedthebadger.com/just-a-tip. I will shill again because I have nobody to thank.
Okay.
Shortly. Let's read a bit more.
All right. The rise of masculinity-oriented content, particularly the ever more exaggerated expressions of status, dominance, fitness, and success, has also likely contributed to the resurgence of more rigid, traditional ideas about gender roles and manhood, especially amongst younger men. Be afraid.
Well, and she does not make the connection.
Apparently, being fit and successful is a masculine thing. Okay, ladies. Well, I mean, if you want to say that about yourselves.
Okay. She doesn't want to acknowledge, or she can't, or she doesn't realize that when you define heterosexuality as oppression of women, of course women are going to increase their standards rationally. And the reason why men are now obsessed with status is because we've shifted from a society in which we reward productivity, which means a much flatter hierarchy, to a society in which we reward nepotism, which is a much steeper hierarchy. So not only do men now have to jump or clear the bar of justify why you get to oppress me, they also have to clear the financial bar, the higher financial bar. So it's like both ways men get it.
Yep.
Their ability to produce and gain status, not necessarily status, but gain a decent living, be a protector and provider, is curtailed in this economy because it's gone from being a producer to how close you are to the nozzle. And they're also being undercut. So now they're squeezed from both ends. They have to get over a higher bar, and they have less ability to do so. And this is entirely, you can lay it on the feet of her and her ideology, because her ideology gave cover to it is actually men who did it, but they're psychos, to the men who constructed this entire nepotistic system, and women. There are some women too. Yeah. It's just that the psycho men tend to be a little bit more strategic about how they go about things. Right? And they've constructed this entire system of nepotism and how close you get to the nozzle, which has been her belief system provided the firewall for them to be able to do it. And then her belief system turns around and squeezes men on the other side by saying, oh no, you got to get over the oppression bar now. Not just the regular, like just a provider bar. The feminists took out the provider bar and they put in the oppression bar, which is about a metric. It's about a mile higher than the provider bar. And then they're like, yeah, get over that bar or you're not a real man. And then their friends, the financialization sociopaths, made it so that men can't even freaking earn a living. All right, at least not as much of one. Yeah. Through their own productivity. Okay.
All right. So, going on, let me just double check, make sure I didn't miss any super chats or any super chows or anything. No, not yet. All right. Yet, even the men who seemingly take this issue seriously frequently offer solutions that are just more of the same. Scott Galloway's advice to young men, for example, is to get out of the house, make some money, get strong, and start hunting lions. If you showed me that quote alongside one from The Man Who Eats Raw Testicles, that would be Liver King. I'm not sure I could tell you who said that. I could tell who said that. So this is interesting too. Again, I don't know why these like feminist men think that they're going to get in the good graces of these people. Scott Galloway he's one of the approved men's issues advocates, not really a men's issues advocate. He's actually a male feminist that's just trying to stop men from checking out of society because he can see the writing on the wall. It's a bad thing. And of course, he's surrounded by people who don't give a shit. And he still does not want to wake up and smell the coffee on what's going on. He wants to he actually uses the term precarious masculinity. I thought he coined it because I've seen him do a lot of other talks and he would bring it up. And I knew that, I'm not saying he's fake, but I think that he's not the right answer at all. Like, he's just like a male feminist. He's just not as bad as, say, Michael Kimmel or Michael Flood, you know? He's not one of those guys, but he's not much better. You know, he's still going to basically put women first, and he doesn't have the answers at all. So, and of course, even though he's basically on their side, they're going to attack him anyways, because he's telling men something. It's not even like advice that you would find at all reprehensible. Get out of the house, make some money, get strong, and start hunting. Well, hunting lions is a bit much, but like the other stuff, yeah. And that's normal. That's just normal. I can't even classify that as something ideological. It's just normal. But again, they don't like that. Oh, that sounds like something the Liver King would say. So? That sounds like something Andrew Tate would say. I don't give a fuck. This is your problem, is that you don't want to even consider regular advice that makes sense for 99.9% of the population if you are hearing it from someone you don't like. That's all it is. That person, I don't like that person. What do they say? They like that thing? Oh, I don't like that thing. That's a bad thing now because that person liked it. What are we, fucking 6? This is ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah.
I got a Rumble rant from NovaFan21 who gives $1 and says, I'm curious if the author did an article on men dropping out of the dating game or if she gets fixated on the lack of male simps and reframes it as misogyny like other feminists. Well, I mean, I don't know. But I don't think this person has anything to offer. Like I've been saying for years. They have nothing to offer men except get back out there and stop complaining. That's all they have. So what's being said is more important than who's saying it. Yes, obviously. But this is the thing with these people, they don't, isn't this relational web thinking? Where it's like, well, did the person who said this, are they in my tribe? Oh, they're not? Oh, well, then I don't agree with what they're saying. There must be something wrong with what they're saying because I don't like them. And if there's someone else who I should like, but they also say the thing that the person I don't like said, then that means that person, Scott Galloway, the Diary of a CEO guy, Chris Williamson, they're all basically just the same as Clavicular and Andrew Tate and stuff. They're all the same. Why? Because they're saying things I don't like, and some of those people are really bad people because I said so. So I'm going to exclude all of them. And I'm going to offer nothing, by the way. Nothing. I'm just going to complain. I'm just going to complain that people listen to these people. That's it. All right.
Okay.
Anyway.
I should probably, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, guys, so we haven't moved in a bit, so I'm going to have to convince you to help us out. Again, feedthebadger.com/support in case you didn't know. I've also put it into the chat, and it should be in the low bar as well. Correct?
Brian? Yeah. It's always in the low bar.
Yeah. All right, so please go to feedthebadger.com/support. And I guess I should try to convince you guys that this is important. You can just, I guess, imagine if we weren't here, what we would be doing. I mean, honestly, that terrifies me, because then I would know that for the most part, except for a few other scattered voices, the femosphere, and I don't even know if the femosphere is the right way to put it, but feminists would be completely uncontested in the things that they say. They would be literally uncontested in their attempts to drag us down into hell. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but I don't know, once you start defining the relationship between men and women as oppression, there's not much further down you can go. Because I hate to tell y'all, but that's how we got here. And that's how we're going to continue to be here. Maybe that's the problem. They don't like here. They think here is a punishment. I'm not sure why they had to make it worse, though. But anyway, if you want to make sure that our voice isn't silenced, please go to feedthebadger.com/support. You are the only reason why we continue to be able to speak. So if you think you're unimportant, don't. You're why we're here. You're why we're continue to make this content. You're why I can go and do the research that I do to find out what they're up to and what they're engaging in, and properly give you the answers to how, or the counter arguments to what they're up to. So if you want us to continue, very much it depends on you choosing to support us and make sure we can continue. Go to feedthebadger.com/support. $5, $10, keep the streak going so that we can continue to bring you this. I, for one, am a little bit more heartened that we have managed to exist for this long. Like, we've scratched out a spot in this edifice of lies.
Yeah.
But we want to continue to be able to scratch more and more into it. And that's entirely up to you supporting us. So feedthebadger.com/support. Please put something in so I can please finish it off so we can finish this article off. Let's keep going.
The masculinity industry can churn out as many slightly new and improved ideals as it likes. But it's doubtful any of them will dramatically improve men's lives, because it's precisely these ideals that help create the feelings of inadequacy and status anxiety that they claim to solve. Continuously telling men that their value lies primarily in their ability to provide, and that they should simply go out and make some money in a deteriorating socioeconomic landscape, is just absurd and cruel. So they create the problem, which is that men are not able to like get a good job and essentially like use it to support a family. And then they say, well, God, why are you trying? Why are you trying? Why are you still involved in the rat race? Well, because men have to, or they die. They're not like women. They don't get to just call their parents and be like, I just want to move in to my house and just like be taken care of. They know that they have to. That's just what it is. I mean, it'd be nice if women also had to, but unfortunately, women do have a way of getting out of it. They can go back home and live with their parents. They can get some orbiter to take care of them. They can and do that. And you seem upset that men recognize the reality that we live in, where you have to work to live. What? It's crazy. The Bartletts of this world may make their success and elaborate routines seem within reach if you only work hard. But how many of these men could still maintain their lifestyles without someone, a paid employee or an unpaid female partner, dealing with all the domestic drudgery behind the scenes? How many benefited from financial support or other opportunities that they rarely mention? How many just got lucky? How many aren't actually successful at all? Well, those guys are certainly not collecting, like government support, because they can't. So I'm guessing that they actually did work hard. And here's another thing that I'm seeing too in this article, and maybe this is like a weird like woman thing, but they want men that read this, if men read this, they want the men that might read this to compare their situation to people like Bartlett and Liver King. I don't know if he's making any money. He's been arrested, Liver King, but like Bartlett and Chris Williamson and these other guys. They want men to look at those men and compare themselves to them so that they can grow resentment. And I don't think, I mean, I know that jealousy exists, but I don't think men want to be in that position where they're comparing their situation with another man. I don't think it's good for them. I think that most men know that, and in fact, it's just better to compare yourself to who you were, like yesterday. Um, but they want men to feel resentful. They want that because they want them to basically be a part of the revolution that they're pushing for. And men won't do it if they don't think that there's any reason for it or that they won't benefit in some way. But they'd rather not destroy other people's lives, and these people do want that. This is what it is. So, all right.
Okay.
Social media is full of smoke and mirrors. It's also full of narratives that blame women for anything and everything. When men succeed, they credit their hard work and their supposed innate male superiority. But when they don't, the finger somehow starts being pointed at women. Men blame women for everything and anything. Is that really true? Dude, the projection on this is actually through the roof.
No, it's not true. It is
No, of
not
course.
true.
No, of course
Men
not.
do not blame women for mundane choices that they make in their lives. And yet I have heard, look at how much women blame men for. Like, I'm pretty sure that these guys who are watching clavicular or the testicle guy, they're not blaming women for doing that. I mean, they may be like, I hope that watching him will give me some way of attracting women, but they're not blaming women for their choice to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, women will blame men for all kinds of things. They'll blame men for their choice to wear pink. They'll blame men for their choice to inject their lips with Botox, right? They'll blame men for not becoming a mathematician. Like, there's no mundane choice in a woman's life that I haven't seen a woman blame on a man. This is ridiculous. It's almost like they're arguing that men should lead women, that men should be in charge, because they're going to be blamed for it no matter what. They might as well be the ones making the decisions.
Yep.
But yeah, like this is absolute projection. The manosphere, I don't even think that they go as far as we do in terms of blaming women. I mean, they might say that women's
No, the manosphere is
standards are ridiculous.
they're very blue pilled. They don't really blame women. They try to go around that, like basically like they're just like, well, if you maintain frame, then you don't have to worry about women won't make problems for you. But they ignore the fact that like what women do is they vote for the government to create problems for men. So yeah, they're not they don't blame women as much as we do. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's I don't know. Like this seems to be a ridiculous presumption on her part. From what I've seen, no, women blame men a lot more than men blame women.
Oh, for sure.
Men struggle.
Well, she's gonna blame men in this article. She's gonna blame men.
But the other thing is that men recognize women are away, and then they try to do something to either live up to it or overcome it or something. Like men refocus on their own actions when women engage in these shenanigans. Right? So it's not even like a situation where when men blame women, they even demand that women change. They're just recognizing that women have set the bar at a particular place and that they now have to get above it. But apparently that's wrong too. And it's also interesting, like, so basically this entire article is this is her thesis, right? Or her conjecture.
Yeah.
This is what she's putting forward. I don't want thesis thesis. This is her thesis. That men are trying to look attractive, trying to be muscular, trying to be have status and money, and they're doing it for completely mysterious reasons. Who knows why men are doing this thing? Right? It must be the big masculine leaderboard in the sky. Except strangely, men don't blame the great masculine leaderboard in the sky. Right? They don't blame that. They blame women for all of the things that they're trying to do for no particular reason. They say we're doing what women want. I mean, it's not even a situation where men are saying that women should not want these things. Right? I'm saying that. A lot of these guys aren't. The masculinity influencers aren't. Because if they did say that, they wouldn't be encouraging you to buy their courses. Right? So it's not that the men are saying that women should stop wanting these things, especially the masculinity influencers. They're just saying that they do. And she is upset over that. She's saying, no, we can't have that. Men can't even identify who it is that they are attempting to increase their status for, because that would be hatred of women. So now, it's like, men can't even identify that it's actually women that they want to impress and have relationships with, which is why they're engaging in all these shenanigans. Men can't even say that. That's verboten. Why does she have such an animus over that statement in particular? What do you think, Brian? Is there a reason for
this?
What's
the animus towards what statement in particular?
That men are doing all of this stuff for women.
Oh.
Why does she have a
problem with that?
Why did she have a problem?
Well, because it might highlight the fact that anything that men are doing to themselves is directly related to what women are doing. And she doesn't want to say that women do anything except, be affected by stuff. So they can't possibly, like in this worldview, it's impossible to see a scenario where the oppressor, men, can be affected, influenced, harmed, or even feel pressure from the oppressed, which is women. So none of that can exist. So instead, they just have to act like, well, men are just doing that for other men. They're doing, or they just won't explain it at all. She doesn't really say why. She's just like, well, men, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're trying to get paid and, work a job and be in good shape. I don't know why anyone does any of those things. I don't know why anyone makes an effort. And this is setting aside the fact that it might not be because of women. It might just be for their own health, right? They might just have been raised that way to be like, yeah, I care about my fitness, I care about my diet, whatever. But even just the act of doing that, the act of self-improvement for men, is a problem. I think that they want men to be weak and passive and dependent on the state, like women are. That's what they want. But men, they won't do that because they know the system won't take care of them. But I mean, besides that, they also understand, they learn early that if they don't figure it out on their own somehow, or work with other men, they're going to die. They're going to die hungry, homeless, and alone. So they just do what they got to do. And these people, they nitpick at that. They're like, why are you trying things? Why are you making an effort? Why are you working? Without recognizing, they obviously don't feel the pressure the same way that men do. They're just like, well, I don't know. I'm just over here in my Manhattan condo writing these bullshit articles because, my parents and my boyfriend and a couple of these hangers-on guys are helping me pay for everything. So why are you broke? Why are you struggling? And
why are you making an effort?
Yeah, and the fact that men are trying to do something to improve their situation, that bothers them more than if they were just she's not writing an article about homeless people, homeless men that are just starving and dying in the streets in the cold, because they're not people to her. She doesn't even see them. Mm-mm. She's only concerned with the men who are trying not to end up like that.
Yeah.
So
So, okay. Speaking of making an effort, let me make one to convince you guys to go to feedthebadger.com/support. Very big thank you for everybody who's supported so far. Please do consider going feedthebadger.com/support. What I realized from all of this is that possibly the only way forward is to start introducing something that actually says the truth about men and what they are and what they do.
yeah.
That's it. Like what we're battling is an entire culture of lies about men that's underselling them as partners. So the only real solution to that is, I mean, you can continue to try to vault to get over the oppression bar that feminists have set with the whole men oppress women. I mean, of course, China also has this problem, but I don't think they have the same amount of feminism. Or do they? I don't know.
China, they have feminism
Yeah,
too.
China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just covered a story about this like gotcha game that's for women.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's aimed at women, and the women, the Chinese women specifically, they like canceled like one of the fictional characters that the gotcha game was about to introduce. It's like all over X. I don't know anything about it. I think it's called Love and Deep Space. It's a romantasy gotcha game with a bunch of like, werewolf CEO types in it. And yeah, so Chinese women, still women, it's the same. They can't get rid of feminism. I mean, especially because like Maoist China like used feminism to start the fucking cultural revolution. Do you think you're gonna shake that off, even though like she is trying to like tamp down on it? Their replacement rates are in the toilet too, by the way. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway, it seems like it's really like I noticed that there was somebody in the chat who's like, what's the point? Well, I get that. Like for a long time I've been really depressed about all of this and feeling like, wow, what the hell? What's the point, right? But the truth is you do what you can. And I know what I can do is I can research this stuff. I can go in, I can find all of the problems with their arguments, logically. And I can also look at the data that they put forward about men and contradict it and like give the counter argument. I can present the argument that men are valuable, that men's love is good and important, right?
yeah,
And I can do it on podcast. I can try to write a book, which is something that I am thinking about doing. I'm thinking of calling it "Everything You Know About Men Is Wrong," because this problem is not just in feminism; it's also in anthropology.
sure.
But it's like you can't look at that in the like for me, I can't look at the gigantic thing that I'm facing and be like, give up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to support things, stop trying to fight just because it's big. I guess it's because I just don't want these lies to stand. And I will do everything I can to keep going forward and to keep fighting for the truth and for men and the truth about men in particular. So that's my answer. You do what you can, right? And you continue to do what you can for as long as you have the resources to do it. And then I guess you lie down and die. That's life. So anyway, if you would like to help out, feedthebadger.com/support. Let's if we keep together, if we keep supporting each other, I think we'll get through this. And
Yeah.
at some point I will be putting out what I want to do is I want to compile a document that just goes through all of the shit that I've seen being published about men. And it's not just feminism. It's also in anthropology, ethnology, ethnographic studies. It's in sociology. I mean, a good portion of it is in the psychology of men and masculinities field. That thing needs to be removed from society with prejudice
Yeah.
because it's unbelievable. But yeah, I'm actually in the process of compiling everything So don't think that your support goes nowhere. I mean, obviously it doesn't. We do this every day. But also, I'm doing what I can, which is putting forth a good argument for why the way we look at men is wrong. The way that feminists look at men is wrong. Anyway, so if you want to support that, feedthebadger.com/support. Hopefully, with your help, we'll be able to continue. And probably, it's up to you guys. All right, Brian, let's, how much more of this do we have?
Quite a bit. I mean, it's almost done. Yeah, it's almost done. We'll just finish this off, I think. Okay, social media is full of smoke and mirrors. It's also full of narratives that blame women for anything and everything. I already read that bit. Okay. Men aren't in crisis because women gained rights and opportunities or because feminism exists. Intersectional feminism actually works to dismantle the rigid hierarchies that contribute to this situation. And while some women still judge men by the size of their wallets, it's overwhelmingly not women building the media empires and selling courses that prey on male insecurity. It's other men. Again, you see what she does there? It's not women that but women are not helping men like get anything together. They're just sitting there saying, "What are you going to do for me?" That's why they're not helping men. So other men are going to help men, and some of them, yes, are going to exploit that. But why is that there to exploit? But you're just going to say capitalism or something. So whatever. Should I keep going? I will. The real crisis men face stems from worsening inequality, declining social mobility, and precarious masculinity, all of which create fertile ground for an epidemic of status anxiety. Entire industries then emerge to exploit this fear at scale. What about the one that exploited it to start it off? What about that industry? That one's multi-billion-dollar, if not trillion-dollar. The pressure to self-optimize becomes relentless, sometimes pushing men towards more extreme behaviors. And the overall result is a generation of young men caught in a status arms race, too preoccupied to challenge the very system that traps them. Because running on the optimization treadmill is much like running on the masculinity treadmill. There is no finish line. Okay, this is the end. This is the end right here, okay? There's naturally nothing wrong with wanting to be healthy, live longer, grow as a person, or take care of your body and mind. Ideally, we should all be able to do that if we want to, while also setting aside time and energy for spontaneity, play, community rest, and just doing nothing. How many people today can afford to do that, though? At the end of the day, neither individual men nor women nor anyone else can easily optimize themselves out of problems that are fundamentally structural. That's the end. So to tear down the structure. Just tear it down. It's okay. I'm sure men will be the ones that are going to get taken care of if we tear it all down. I'm sure that will come out of it. Okay, that was the article, Alison. I'm sufficiently irritated.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no thank yous yet. So, again, feedthebadger.com/support. We're pretty close. 300 and I think 360. I could take a look. What do I want to say about that? Let me think.
Well, we finished the article,
Yeah,
so yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just like it's just shit. All right, I got a couple Rumble rants, and then that's it. I'll just read them really quick. So NobaFan21 gave us $1 and said, "Imagine how much society would be improved if men blamed women even 1% of what the feminists believe men did, even if the men were all in the wrong." Then he says for another $1, "What infuriates me about feminists like her is when she blames quote-unquote toxic masculinity, she denies and deflects any and all women that influence the very male traits she despises." Yeah. Yeah, they don't want to solve problems. They want to complain. And because this is exactly what it should be. So we're not dealing with rational people, that's all I'm saying. They just want what they want. They just want what they want. So.
And the funny thing is that she does not understand that somebody has to produce things and maintain things. Like, I don't think she understands that at all. The thing is, and how do you make that happen? Right? How do you get women to understand the water level test when many of them fail it? And they fail it because they can't see through the symbol to the substrate underneath, to the fact that this is a symbol of a glass, and when you tilt the glass, the water level changes because they think in symbols. They think in abstract, like they think in relations. They don't have the same instinct to just go to the substrate like men do, which is why men needed to be marginalized in the first place. If you're going to construct an economy entirely out of symbols, then you got to get rid of the people who see through them to what the symbols represent and can tell when they're not representing them accurately anymore. Right? That's the whole thing. That's the whole shebang in a nutshell. So, I don't know, you just have to keep calling it out.
Yeah.
And you have to be clear, and you have to explain what went wrong. And when people are ready to understand what went wrong, then maybe we can start putting things right. I don't know if I want to use the word right, but less dysfunctional. Oh,
What?
okay. Every time a woman fails the water level test, take a drink.
All
Oh,
right.
man.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll do the final shill
Okay.
because it still hasn't moved. Feedthebadger.com/just the tip. We did get about we chewed off about $100, so we're now at 360 left. We have about 8 hours, a little less than 8 hours left in the fundraiser. So if you are listening to this after the show is over, there's still a bit more time to put something in, if you would. Hopefully, I know that I don't have a heck of a lot positive to say. I don't know what's positive here. What would be positive? What would be a positive message in all of this? Maybe you guys can tell me. For me, the positive message is that I continue to be able to do this, and that we continue to be able to fight back, and we continue to be able to say our piece, despite the fact that what we say is not something YouTube likes. I mean, we've been able to say exactly what we think because you guys have supported us. We haven't had to chase the algorithm, right? So if you want to continue that winning streak, feedthebadger.com/just the tip. I certainly do. No, sorry, feedthebadger.com/support. I certainly do. And
Yeah.
I guess I'll hand it back to Brian.
All right. I got another Rumble. No, super chat. It's a super chat. I'll read this and then I'll wrap it
Okay.
up. So, Mr. Noobed says for $5, I certainly don't know about love in deep space, and Silas isn't best boy. Okay, so you do know. Okay, I don't know a ton about it, but I know they added another male romance option, and Chinese women and just women in general got really upset because they wanted them to spend more of their like programming time and development time on one of their favorite dude in the game, and they were upset that they were like using some of their resources to add another character. That was what it was about. So all right, thank you for the super chat, and thank you guys for everything you've done. Hopefully we'll get across the finish line today. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about in the show today, and share the video because sharing is caring. Thanks so much for coming on this episode of Maintaining Frame, and we will talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.